Hey everyone, it's me, Monica, or Harmony in the Highest, and I'm coming back with another video. Um, and today I thought I would talk a little bit about how I think everyone's starting to kind of like pick up on the fact that, I have different things like going on. And um, this has been the case for like a while. Um, for me it's not new, but it's like I think people are starting to like pick up on it, and of course when that happens, people then want to make their own conclusions, draw their own conclusions. And from my experience in the last few years, it's been really bad, like what the conclusions that people draw and like what people make of things um, and I think there's just a big misunderstanding of trauma in our culture to begin with. So I thought maybe I would like come on and try to clarify some of the things, tell a little bit of my story, which will also help release some of the pent up um, unprocessed trauma. Because when it's not properly processed, it's basically stored up in the body, and it's like poison in your body. So yes, mental illness comes from that, like all different kinds of things. PTSD comes from that. Eventually, when PTSD isn't treated, it can turn into schizophrenia, and many people have, throughout the ages, have ended up with schizophrenia because of things like emotional abuse. So it is a really important topic to have, and I think it is a topic for this time. I think that is why I took this journey, because I know that whatever God puts me through, He does it for a reason. And He does it because He knows that I am a warrior and I am a champion of, the underdogs and, truth. And this has been a really like tough journey for me, but so I guess going back to like whatever God like puts me through, it's because He wants me to like come out on the other side and like talk about it and shed light on it. So, and this is bigger than me, and I have to remember that, because I'm like, I get caught up in my own wounding sometimes, because it's my trauma was like pretty deep. Seemed like it just like was one thing after another, and it just kept going and going, and then I realized that there was an enemy behind all of it, like, you know, and there was, so it's like it was informative in that way, because I didn't know that enemy even existed before. But help me not to lose track, lose my thoughts. I really do have something valuable to share, and I think God allowed this to happen to me so that I could come on and inspire others and lift up others that were going through these struggles, like especially narcissistic abuse. So, and I've lost sight of that. Like, I've lost sight of the fact that like I had a purpose in that, and that I want to be like, I want to help people that are going through that right now, and on like a mass level. So I am passionate about this. Part of the effect of the narcissistic abuse in my past was starting to feel like my opinions like didn't matter, my thoughts on things didn't matter. So I think I stopped sharing them, and and instead I would sit back and become more of like a observer, like consumer of like other people's perspectives, which often would be the same, like very similar to mine, if not the same as mine, but it just felt better like hearing it from them and not me being the one to like put it out there, because my voice was like also stolen in all of this, and um in like a really big way, like the enemy was really after my voice through all of this. So he almost had it to where I was just like completely shut down. I was watching something like on the woman's called Crappy Childhood Fairy, and she's really awesome. But I saw something like, she's like, she's like, what's your trauma response? Like some people will go into, they'll like rage at others when they're in a state of trauma, and other people will shut down. And what I ended up doing was shutting down because I didn't have any way to like get my anger out. And also it was really challenging for me to seek support because I was so filled with like shame and stuff from my experiences. And so I wasn't getting like the help or the support that I needed. And I was just basically, I was just like eating dinner in my room every night for like almost a year, and feeling really alone and abandoned and emotionally neglected and not part, like made to feel like less than human, like subpar, um, human, you know, like, and that everything that I did was like a nuisance and a burden, and that my existence was like a pain, to someone. And so it was really difficult to like be in this environment every single day and not have like outlets for it. And no, I don't want that to be stopped. Okay. Okay, there was a phone call coming in, but so yeah, it was really like challenging to feel like that day, to be feeling that way day after day, like going to my room and like just and but having so much emotions and having, because I'm being treated a certain way, I'm being like excluded, I'm being criticized, I'm being judged, I'm being controlled. So naturally I have all of these feelings that are like rising up that want to be processed and talked about. And that's something that I like to do, like anyway, but I didn't have the space to do it. I didn't have anyone around that wanted to like process that with me. And that was sad. Like that was really disappointing. Like I was really disappointed in, I don't know if I should talk about the people involved or not, but I was really disappointed that I didn't have like a safe place to go for that when I had so much emotion because of the way I was being treated. And I had to be in this position. It wasn't my partner, it was a partner of my family members, and I was living there because I needed their help financially. Coming from my spiritual path, I was not grounded, so I had not learned to like really ground myself financially and in the 3D. And when I moved to Florida too, like it was, I mean, I actually did a pretty good job of, once I got here, figuring things out. But when I came, I had moved from Baltimore, which was the last place that I lived when I was in the DC area. I, you know, I was newly coming here, so I didn't have a job yet, and I was going to stay with them until getting one. And I did actually pick up a part-time job and a full-time job. I don't know how long that took me, but that did happen. So I guess I'm kind of validating myself because one of the person involved kind of would always allude to the fact that I, you know, was lazy or like didn't want to work, and which was not true by this time, because by this time I was coming into a whole different chapter of my life, and I was like redefining my goals, and God was really working with me at this time. And it's right when like the Holy Spirit started to come in and really work with me. So I was ready to make change, and I'm sorry about my voice. I don't know why like my voice is doing this, but maybe this will help move stuff out of my voice. But you know, so I guess, you know, I did pretty good. I know the enemy's out there doing weird stuff, of course. But so when I came here, I did do, you know, I was doing pretty good. Like, you know, I found a part-time position right when I first got here. And then I had found a full-time position later on, in the field that I love. So I did do that, but I was still working on the grounding. Like I still needed like, you know, the place to live and everything, because I was working on, I wasn't getting paid a whole lot at my full-time job. Like it wasn't enough to like move out yet. So, because I was just starting my career in case management, and as like a stepping stone to my like future goals. So yeah, so I was starting that out, and but I had to live with these family members for a year, and it was just really like hard, the hardest year of my life, I think, because of just of dealing with this amount of like control from this person. I felt like every single thing that I did was like being picked on. So um, and I would freeze. My whole body would freeze when this person would come home, and I would just like feel really stuck in my body, so that my nervous system was going into like total freeze mode. But this was going on for like a year, so it was like a lot of that, like just being in frozen. That wasn't my normal trauma response. Like when I was growing up, like I might have had some fawning, like a little bit of fawning, a little bit of like codependency, and being more on the passive side in that. But it wasn't. But I wasn't freeze like the way that I did in this situation. So this was like it created a whole nother level of like trauma and in my life, and I wouldn't have called myself traumatized before this happened. As I've like told people, like I feel like I was functioning perfectly fine. I just was spiritual, so I wasn't grounded. Like I was, I was fine. Like I could function. I could more than function. I could like, I made a lot of friends. I was really like, I was pretty like outgoing and full of like, joy and everything. And I had a lot of really like beautiful friends in my spiritual community, and great connections in the DC area. So that was like a really beautiful time in my life for the most part, and really good memories. But from there, like I had a lot of growing because I wasn't grounded. Like I spent 7 years in my spiritual community in DC, and in that time was I was way more in the spiritual than I was in the physical. So I was like much more about um, my yoga and like my spiritual events, and like community, um, and like excitement. I was probably too hooked on like going to like fun spiritual events and stuff. And this reminded me of a false accusation, so I'm just going to throw it in there. This whole time I was not going to clubs ever. My time of clubbing ended in my 20s. For any narcissists or Pharisees out there who want to say that I go to clubs and stuff, that is not true. For 7 years on my spiritual path, I spent a lot of time doing spiritually oriented events. I went to things like song circles, yoga classes, sound healings, drum circles, like under the moon. There's a lot of like dancing. I loved dancing. Like I would do ecstatic dances, which is not exotic dancing, it's ecstatic dancing. So it's basically like a conscious dance. Like it's like meant to be like non-judgmental dancing that's done in a room. Like it's like a pretty big room, and you have usually like the DJ will play like more worldly, like spiritual music, and you just let yourself flow in the space, and it turns out to be like a really amazing experience that you can share with like other people. And I have some videos of like me doing that with some friends, and that's been one of my favorite activities to do, like in the spiritual community, because it just really let me like free, like flow with people. And like those are probably some of my closest connections that I made, like through dancing, because that's where like I think I shine, because that's where I think that my soul really comes out, and my and also like I can see other people, like I can see their souls, like the way they dance and stuff, and there's like a connection there. And I think sometimes dance can speak way more than like words can. So that's something that I've always like really enjoyed, and like has been a big part of my my life. I don't know why my voice is like this right now. But it's interesting that I'm like trying to share some of my testimony and my voice is like doing this. But yeah, so that was, like that's kind of like what I was enjoying like and doing in my spiritual community was like, and sorry, I also sound very low energy, and that's kind of true. I've been going through a lot of warfare, and consisting of like, again, the demonic cars that I've mentioned many times, that like latch on to my energy through what I would now believe to be fallen angel technology. Because if, remember, if there's like Satan, there's also the third of like the fallen angels that went with him, that are also like roaming the earth along with him. And that would make sense given my experience. And if they're not the fallen angels themselves, they would be like connected to them, definitely utilizing like their technologies, because they're higher than like the technologies that we are accustomed to. As in they can tap into like your movements, your thoughts, like it's, yeah. So I didn't know that existed until recently. But so, between that and then feeling witchcraft sometimes, but that's been less, like, thank God, like it's been a lot less lately. But that's left me like pretty tired. And so I hope you can bear with me. I hope you don't get too bored. And hopefully like this goes somewhere. Hopefully this moves some energy like out and helps to like pick me up out of whatever like this is that I'm in. But so yeah, I was talking about the spiritual. Yeah, I feel the resistance of the enemy. So he's trying to like slow me down. He always does when I come on the camera. But so the spiritual community, dancing, conscious events. What was I like originally saying? Like, like my behavior has changed because I have been through a lot. Like, so I was talking about how I was really like involved in these different spiritual events. I did my ecstatic dance, things like that. So that's the kind of stuff that I was doing before, kind of getting to like encounter Christ. And that happened when I moved to Florida, like in 2019, right before COVID. I moved to Florida, and it was like perfect timing. Like I felt like I was that chapter in DC was ending, that like 7-year chapter in DC was ending, and it was like time for me to start something new. And all I was getting in my spirit was that it was time for me to go where I thought that I would like want to plant some roots, like where I felt like I wanted to plant roots, and where I'd want to like stay long term. So I wanted to be close to family. I wanted to be close to my mom. So I came to Florida in 2019, and I was like really looking forward to it, like to being close to her and being here. And so that's what I was doing, and I ended up living with her for a year. So oops, let's see. Yeah, that was the year that that I was telling you about like earlier in the video, that like that was a really challenging year for me. It was basically like with her partner that was like that felt this way about me, was treating me this way. So it was really difficult because like I'm an only child, and I've always been really close to my mom, like extremely close. So, and that's, like we have a little bit of like codependency because of that, but like, yeah, but we've always had like a really close relationship. And so it was really hard to go through this experience with like the person that she was with feeling this way about me, and treating me this way, because it felt like I was being like, felt like not only was I like getting that from him, but I was like, I felt betrayed by my mom because she didn't leave him. Like, she continued to like stay with him while I was being treated like so badly, to where I felt like I was like, I don't want to say a slave, but I just felt like I was being like, I was completely like treated like subhuman, you know, and judged to a major degree. And yeah, the enemy's like messing with me. Okay, so I think what's been so difficult with my experience is I went through that for like a year, without a whole lot of support. I was working part-time at their community church at the time, and in that I was working in the youth ministry. And it was funny because I wasn't yet saved. I hadn't yet come to Christ, but but my mom just happened to get me the job there. So it was fun. I got to like meet, you know, like I got to work with a guy named Doug and help facilitate different like events and stuff. And I got to work with the kids there, and every night we would like, every Wednesday we would like facilitate really cool events. Like we would put on different things for them. So it was really fun experience to do that. And it was like a precursor to my spiritual like awakening with Christ and my you know, being saved. So it was kind of neat because I didn't know that at the time that was going to happen, but it did, you know. But you know, and I noticed like people at the church were noticing like something was like affecting me. Like, mind you, I was still like coming from like Baltimore and like from my spiritual community, and mind you, I had 7 years of like being like poured into from a really like what I felt like was a really beautiful community of people. And so I was receiving a lot of love from them and a lot of like nurturing, and you know, there was no one like mistreating me in this way. And so, at least not like openly, but so I had a fair amount of energy when I came to Florida, and sevenfold. I had a fair amount of energy when I came to Florida, and so I wasn't yet like looking as, you know, traumatized or whatever, but I did go through a lot in Baltimore before I got here. So my soul had already gone through like some tough times in Baltimore, and like I call that like my like year of like spiritual death and like rebirth, like starting to be birthed into the phoenix and into the eagle that I was becoming. So, you know, that did go hand in hand with that. But what was I saying? So I went through like that spiritual death, like in Baltimore, and then I came here. What was I saying? This sometimes like happens to my mind. Like I'm like, so I went through like a spiritual death in Baltimore, and I was like becoming like an eagle, and I came here. But why did I say that? I don't remember. Like, I wish I could go back and like rewind, but um, I think I was trying to say like, you know, I before I came to Florida, like I felt like one chapter was ending, and then I was like beginning like a new chapter when I got here. So I don't know, like so like, and I came here, and you know, it was a brand new chapter, and I was working at okay, because the people at the church were, and I'm so sorry that it's like taking me a while to get my thoughts out, but so the people at the church, it's like they noticed something about me, like was like, you know, like a little bit, like I was definitely a little bit like awkwardly quiet, and like I was hiding something, you know, like what they, you know, didn't know like exactly what. A few women did come over and like talk to me and say that like if I ever needed to talk to anyone, like they were there. And I took their numbers and everything, and I had the intention of like talking to them, but I don't know why I didn't. Like, and I think now I understand that it was because I was like carrying like shame at that time. Like I was like carrying too much shame, so I just didn't feel like I was like worthy like um of talking to anyone for some reason. Like it's so weird. Like it affected so much about me. Like I went from having like this like big community of people, this like huge community of people in DC, and this like amazing tribe of people that was like so loving and like open, and like I don't know, we had so much like love for each other. There was so much like outgoingness and beauty and stuff, and like so to go from that to going like and then going to coming here to Florida and like experiencing that from this person was like such a shock to my system. I was just like, what is going on? Like, how could this be like happening to me? You know, like how could I be like going through this? Like, and so it's like I had to hide this part of myself, and I wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to like hiding like from people and not being able to be open, and like, and what was stopping me from being open was I would have to admit to the fact that like somebody that was really close to me in my own family, who also went to that church, who was the whole reason that we went to that church, um, was treating me like so badly, like or like as if I didn't have any like worth or value, and like I was in the way, and I was like this horrible person, like um, so like sorry, I think this is more of the like witchcraft and something that the enemy's doing, and also like the state that I've been in recently. Like it takes a lot out of me. Like the warfare takes a lot out of me. But so it's not just the fact that like it's might be a tough subject. It's really that I get blanks like in my head, and I'm like slow like so sorry about that. But I yeah. So I don't know. I'm trying to think like. So I couldn't really like talk to people about like what I was going through, and little by little like over time, because I remember I was still like being myself there. Like I still made some really good connections because people could sense my spirit, and they could sense like I was coming fresh, somewhat fresh from DC. Like a year in Baltimore, spiritual death happened, but I was still like Monica, and so like I came and people still sensed my spirit, and there was still like a lot of connections that happened, like some really good connections that happened. And it's kind of nice because like my mom would say like she's like people love you at the church, like people always say like the nicest things about you, and like say you're like such a like I don't know, such a great person and stuff, and that you're always like smiling, and or like more than that, like she said like they said that you're such a great person, and they always ask about you. So I'm like, oh, like it makes me feel good. Like things like that actually mean a whole lot when you come out of like narcissistic abuse, because it does such an impact on your self-esteem that like you forget like who you are. Like you just completely you forget, like you're just like, do I even have any good qualities? Like because I was like so like unseen for so long, and like and all of those good qualities like end up just getting like suppressed and twisted, and like twisted up in knots inside of you. Like all this goodness that could be coming out of you, like if the people around you like actually like valued you, like it could be all like you could have all this like beauty to share, but instead it's all of it's just like going to waste. All of it's like getting all like twisted up and making you sick. It was making me sick, like, and it was making me sick on many levels. It was making me sick like emotionally, like it was making me sick spiritually, it was making me sick mentally. And that's the thing that I want to talk about, is the mental side. And I want to like just share with people that if you are noticing like things in my videos, or or wherever you see me, yeah, you have been witnessing like weird things, because it was just really intense to it was intense to go through that for an entire year, like of like not having like an outlet for for all that like pain, for all that like suppression, and like to like be every day in your room like eating dinner by yourself, like um feeling like you have no one like to talk to. You can't tell people because you like you're protect I would think I was protecting him, like um because it was such close family. Like it's like it was sensitive, because it's one thing if it's like your ex-boyfriend, and even I did have a narcissistic ex-boyfriend that I did go through a lot of trauma with, and I didn't come out right after the relationship and like talk about it. I kept that one silent too. So that I noticed that was kind of my tendency, like to sort of like protect a person's like image even when like they don't deserve it, like at all. It's just I have a hard time letting like a whole group of people know like certain things about a person, even if they were like the most horrible person, like even if they did the worst things. Like I have a hard time, like um I don't know, hurting them in that way, like because that's big, to spread to when you like come out like that with about somebody, that can really like ruin them. And what's crazy is that the narcissist has no problem doing that. The narcissist has no problem coming out and sharing all like your flaws, and sometimes your real flaws, and sometimes your made up flaws. Like sometimes they will literally just make a story up out of nowhere just so that they can ruin your reputation. And that's like the craziest difference between the narcissist and the empath. I've used those two words a lot this year, so I'm kind of like, I don't know, getting a little bit like tired of them, but I don't want to like, yeah. I think part of the reason I was getting tired of myself like using that language is because I felt other people were tired of me using it, even when it was still like valid for me. And like I am an empath, like I'm just graduating hopefully to like being more like a wiser empath, but I'm still an empath like I was then. So but yeah, so it's interesting. Like I kept quiet after like both situations, because I'm just hesitant to like throw someone under the bus like that, like, or like ruin their like lives, or like, because reputation like matters, like the way that people see you like matters, because it's like how they're gonna like treat you going forward. And I was a lot more like cautious about the two people that hurt me the most in this world and did lasting damage to me mentally, emotionally, psychologically. I was more compassionate about not sharing like what I was put through than they were with me. They both sort of trashed my name to the people around them. I think my ex to the community that I was in. I don't know like for sure, but I felt like they kind of turned their backs when I was going through this. And I saw a lot of them popping up on like his page on Facebook and stuff, and like kind of surrounding him and liking his stuff. And so the crazy thing is you never know exactly like what happened. You just know that like everyone's moving away from you, and like everyone seems to be moving towards this person. But and the Lord has put some things on my heart regarding that too, but like I'll never know like for sure like what happened. But all I know is the results was I ended up with like no one by my side, and I feel like Armand, oh, I just shared his name, but I just did 34 minutes of the testimony, and we're like, we're not together anymore. And you on YouTube are not going to know who that is, so, and I will not give the last name, but that's okay. I'm just going to let that be, because you guys don't, most of you are not going to know who that is. So, except if you're in my spiritual community, and then you know then you already know that that's my ex. So, and I have shared it before. So, like, I came out way later, like way after like the like after it was like relevant, and like everyone had kind of like forgotten, and like no one was even like thinking about it. And then I like shared like what happened. So my timing was like really off, but I knew that if I had done it in the potent time, like it would have really like stung. It would have really hurt. So I didn't do that. Like I had more compassion probably than I like more than I should have. There's actually a time when you're supposed to like come out and like say what someone's done to you, like especially if it's affected you so drastically. And sometimes, when I've seen other friends post that about something that happened with their ex, it almost serves as like a warning to the community, like watch out, like you can make your own choice about the person, but at least you know that person's experience of the person, and it helps you going forward to know like where they stand, like to know, and just so you can know if you should be careful or not, But I didn't give that to people. I didn't give that to my friends like in the community. So I can't expect them to know like where I was standing or anything. But I don't feel like anybody also really like asked me, like, and like close friends knew. Like I think some of my close friends knew what I was going through, but I don't think they knew like how bad. So all I think people were like talking about like me having like mental issues, but I don't think people like connected. Even when I would say like I went through narcissistic abuse without naming him, they still didn't connect the dots on that. And that's something that I really like wish that our culture that's a conversation that we need to start having like a lot more of, is connecting like narcissistic abuse to mental illness. Because if you're getting treated like really badly by a person, you're getting really devalued, you're getting like all these like subtle indications that you're not like you're mocked and stuff in certain ways, like you're like they do these like they say these like weird comments to like mock you or like make you feel like small or like intimidate you and stuff, like, so they do all these little like things like that. So you're like receiving that kind of stuff, and it's obviously it's not sitting right with your spirit. Like your spirit knows that it shouldn't be treated that way, and you're being like manipulated in certain ways and coaxed past like my boundaries were pushed a lot with my ex. Like that was something that I dealt with a lot, which was like that's really traumatizing. Like when you're emotional and like sexual and like mental, like all of my boundaries were like getting really like pushed by him, and that was like traumatic in itself. And then everything that I was explaining about my stepfather figure, and so that's like that's what I was going through at the time, and that's why like I couldn't really like share on it. I realize I'm not good at like sharing about abuse. Like I have a weakness for that, because it took me like this long. It took me like that relationship. It was a 3-year relationship, but it ended like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, like maybe 5 years ago. And that kind of marked when I was like moving. Like I closed that chapter in like DC. Then I went through like my spiritual death in Baltimore, and then I came to Florida, and I was like starting a new chapter, and I like had started working at that church, and then I started to like encounter Jesus while I was here, and that's been like a really beautiful journey that I want to go into. But I wanted to like address the past first, because I think that's really like key, like in sort of getting that off my chest. And it's helping me be more like authentic with you, because it makes you keep secrets. Like it makes you secretive, not necessarily keep secrets, but it makes you secretive when you have to keep someone's abuse quiet. Like when you can't share about what's happening to you, then you start, because if you have to keep one thing quiet, then you start keeping other things quiet. And on top of that, I was starting to experience like in my on this Christian walk, I was starting to experience these like Christian narcissist types that what like we're like assuming the worst like at every turn and at every step, and like would so I don't know, it's just, it was a lot, like it was like it was leading to like suppression of like a lot of things. And so I was keeping all that inside, and like, so it makes you just keep everything inside. It makes you just become someone who just keeps stuff inside. Like, and that's like so not me. Like, I don't function very well like that. Like, I came from a spiritual community of like 7 years where like I did nothing but like share vulnerably like what was going on in my life, like completely like openly and vulnerably with like my community, and that was amazing. Like I loved that. I loved my community. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like I really loved my community, and I loved the people that I was like friends with, because everyone was like that. Like, everyone shared from their hearts, and they shared like their journeys in a really authentic way. I think a lot of spiritual seekers are really beautiful people and are just seeking the truth, and they already have like really big hearts and like are very empathetic and compassionate people, and that's who I was surrounded by. So I had like a really like just a beautiful community of people. So this whole journey with like narcissistic abuse was just has been really difficult, because I was not able to be myself. Like, I wasn't able to like just share like this, because I'd have to say like, this person in my family is like treating me this way, like I was just like, and I just wanted to like like cry out for help. I wanted someone to like pick up on the fact that I was like going through this and like come somehow like rescue me, like, and but I didn't know how to like ask for that. So I just let myself get like quieter and quieter and quieter until I just couldn't talk anymore. Like, I would come on here and I was awkward because I had been like quiet for so long, like, like I'm just not able to like be, how could you be your authentic self, because your authentic self would give away what was happening. So there was a lot of avoidance. There's a lot of like avoidance. And what added to that, I think, was going through this Christian journey and experiencing more narcissistic abuse from just like random people, like all the like the Pharisee type people, making like snap judgments and stuff like based on like really stupid things about what you're about and stuff. Like, I feel like I've been under like a microscope, and like by people who like know like nothing about me, but wanted to make a million assumptions about me. So I was just like blindsided. I was just like, what? Like, what is, I was just like, what is going on? Like, I think I was just like shocked. I was just like, what? Like, you think what about me? Like, that's another reason I stayed quiet, because I'm just like, what is going on? Like, what, this is like insane. Like, I didn't know that people acted like this, like I had not encountered that before. Like, I hadn't encountered like true like Christian narcissists before. So it was like another layer of my narcissist like journey, and learning the nature of like the narcissist. And I was just like what is everybody like talking about, like so I got a lot of that. It was like, it's like your time when you're saved, it's like your soul is up for trial, like in a way, and everyone's gathered around like making their like different comments and stuff, like about like your like all your different character traits, all your different things. And meanwhile, like, I just came out of like back to back emotionally abusive relationships. I did have some trauma from like, I shared in another video, going to the jungle and being with the ayahuasca, the plant medicine. So I did have some trauma from that as well, that was affecting me. And I think that the witchcraft had begun back then, during that time right around when I was going to the jungle to sort of sort out what had happened in my relationship. my ex may or may not have been involved in black magic. Like he'd never shared that with me ever, but it was something that was a very like likely possibility. Um, there was just this whole like magician vibe when it came to him. So, and like most my friends that have met him like wouldn't be surprised like by that. But so between like feeling like I was, now I look back and I'm like, okay, I think that the witchcrafts had started back then with me. But I don't want to go in and say that for sure. But that is a possibility that was happening. And then but for sure, I went to the jungle and did have some trauma with the medicine there. I did have those 2 back-to-back relationships with narcissistic abuse. So that was a lot on my soul to carry. And I forgot why I said that. So it was just, it was a lot for my soul to carry. Oh, like the Christian narcissist, like making assumptions about, and I do respect your guys' time. I don't feel like, you have all the time in the world to just like sit here and listen to me, like go slowly. This is like literally how fast I can go, like, cause there's just like a blocks in my mind right now. Like, this is literally like how fast my brain is like operating right now. So I hope that you can like bear with this. And, I know that it's like trudging along, but I hope you can like trudge along with me if you like wish to know more about my story. I mean, a lot of people comment on my story, so I do hope that like you would take the time to like listen. If you're especially if you're one of those people who, have made different assumptions about me or my behavior. Like, I hope at least that you would like listen to me, like the person that went through it, and not to your assumptions, and I wish that people would have come to me, like send me a message on Facebook or something, like if you're thinking these things, like don't think this stuff and then like spread stuff and then like start things like when you don't know the story, like, and you haven't even cared to know the story, you haven't even cared to like ask me how I'm doing, or like like that's not being a friend. That's being like somebody who's trying to find dirt on someone. And the only reason that you would do that is because the enemy is turning people against me right now, or had been turning people against me from around the time of COVID. That's when everything shifted. That's when my whole reputation began going downhill, and this whole series of like events transpired. He really affected my self-esteem. All of that began happening like around 2019. So that's when like everything like started shifting. And like, it's not that I changed as a person, it's that like going through some of the traumatic events did change my behavior to where I did act a bit out of character. But what I'm getting in my spirit more so is that it was just something of the enemy. It was the time that he wanted to like change people's perspective of me. Like, he also, I believe, he orchestrated the traumatic events happening as well, because he knows that those would affect me so greatly. Like, that like obviously like that the trauma would like linger and it would affect your self-esteem. And they talk about if your self-esteem is affected, that affects like everything else. Like, that's like all you have to do to like really impact a person is to affect their self-esteem, and then you affect like every area of their life, like the quality of like every friendship, like their potential to like find a mate. Like you affect like literally every part of that person's life, like when you can affect their self-esteem. And that's like what the narcissist is really good at and what they know, so that's what they did. That's what the enemy orchestrated to happen. So all of this has just been like this campaign against Monica, like this like huge campaign against me, like the narcissistic smear campaign, but it was like the enemy's smear campaign, because he's also a narcissist. So he really like had it in for me. He really like, and I know that he I know the Holy Spirit's correct me. He has it in for everybody. Like this is how he feels about everybody. So it's not like I'm special, but I know that I carry a purpose that the Lord wants me to step into, and I know that the enemy's been really resisting me on that. Like the level of warfare that I experience is just insane, and that's another reason that I've been quiet, is because I don't always know how to talk about it. I don't know like how to say like these cars are harassing me and like taking parts of my soul and like messing with my thoughts, messing with my like mind throughout the day, like messing with my energy throughout the day, to where I have to like pray like to God and like go to the Psalms and go to like the different things, like just pray for his like help. And sometimes like I feel too tired to do that, and I try to do it in my own strength, and that's like something that I'm working on still. And but I've been trying to go more in prayer, and I've been trying to go directly to God like when I'm being affected this way, because that's what he really wants like from us, is to like go directly to him, because he has the power to change like any circumstance. So I'm working on doing that more consistently, like refusing to try to do it in my own strength. Like I need to like tie my fingers or tie my hands or something and like and just get on my knees like immediately in prayer, like when things start happening. But it's weird how the flesh wants to respond. Like the flesh wants to like stand up for itself and like defend itself. And I mean, it's a survival thing. It's like, when you feel like you're in danger, like you're in danger in some way, like you want to like react physically, like. And I do have a lot of like, I think, pride in that way. Like I have like this like warrior in me that like wants to like stand up for myself, and like how dare you think that you can like do that. And like I have this thing like this like warrior inside that thinks she can handle like anything. But I have to like learn my limitations, because I definitely like I've definitely been humbled by the enemy and like the advances and stuff, like and I definitely can't control like every situation. I can't control like what people do outside, and that's been another like teaching. It's just like having to surrender. Like I don't think I'm very like controlling. I don't think I've ever been very like controlling. If anything, I've been the opposite. Like on my spiritual path, I was like more like laid back. But I think you want to have some level of control, like with knowing that people aren't going to like harm you in your surroundings. Like you want to control that. Like you want to feel like you have control over that. Like that when you go out, or when you're like, you're in public, like there's some level of like control over the people around you, that they're not going to try to like harm you, or like, they're not going to try to like just do weird things to you, like or like the gang stalking tactics that they do and stuff. Like I don't mean physically harm you, I just mean like their tactics of intimidation and stuff like that. But this has been like a lesson in learning to like surrender even that control, like you really don't have control over like someone else's actions, like and what they choose to do. And they do these different things to you like while you're driving and stuff, and it's like I just have to like let them be and trust that God is like protecting me, and also like be strong in me, like be strong and non-reactive. And I'm pretty good at like being non-reactive. Like I'm pretty good at like keeping my peace and stuff. Like I've always been pretty good at that. But and I have a lot of patience, like a whole lot of patience. So that's really helped me a lot to have that. And I realized that's always been God inside of me. Like since I was like little, like I've always felt like God inside of me, and that keeps me like from like acting out, or it keeps me from like being disrespectful to others. And like I drive at like a safe distance, and I drive respectfully, because I have a sense of I have a sense of respect for others, like, and yeah, that's God, like that's God inside of me, and I didn't know that, like, um, and I wish that other people had that, like, that respect for God and for like other people, and so I feel like our world is like really lacking that, and it's been really like sad. That's been another thing that's been really like crushing on my spirit, is just to realize how many people have such a lack of like love and understanding of God, and like in his love, you know, because like that's what we really like need the most, is like to have that, to like, and like to like feel it, like to have it on the inside of us, like to know, like to know, yeah, the heart of God. So yeah, like seeing all this like rebellion, seeing all this like craziness right now, like really does, it makes me know that we're in the end times. Like whether people admit that or not, like it makes me know that we are. And the way that I've been like attacked and like pursued and all this like, um, you know, it's just, yeah, it's not a coincidence, and it makes me know that we are in the end times, and it just, I don't know, it like just, it grieves my soul a little bit, like that's also heavy, because my whole understanding of like humanity has changed and stuff, and I know it has for like all of like you chosen ones like out there. I know like you can probably really relate to this, like you probably had like similar experiences where you like once believed in humanity, and then like that was like taken from you, you know, when you really started to see like people's dark sides or like dark qualities, you know. um so yeah, it's been sad. Like my heaviness is really like relaying the point, like but yeah, it has been really sad for me. It has been really like depressing for me, like especially like I'm like, I feel like I'm like a lion, like, and like my whole thing is like love, like my whole thing is like having like love for humanity, like, and that's what I was all about for like 7 years, like on my spiritual path. And then to come into this and kind of see like so much of humanity is like not, it's not like, it's not where it should be. It's not where like I thought it was, you know. So it's been yeah, humanity. Yeah, I used to like defend them like so much, like I used to like um but people are making choices, and they're like to follow like certain ways that are just completely opposite of like the Lord, and are opposite of like goodness, opposite of love, like, and it only leads to more and more like selfishness and like scarcity, like in the world where people are seeing each other as like competition instead of like co-inhabitors of like the earth, you know, like coexisting, co-creating, like um that's what makes the world go round, is like when you like love each other, and like there's a sense of like unity in that. And I still see it, I still sense it, and it hasn't gone away. Like my mom tries to remind me, like it hasn't gone away, like there's still like good people, there's still like really good people out there, but it's just I've seen so much like darkness in the last like 3 or 4 years, like on my path. I've seen so much darkness, and it's like really makes me like question, you know. And I think the darkness that I've seen is real. Like there really is darkness, and that's described in the Bible, but it's just really sad to me. Like it's really sad. So I guess that's my genuine like feeling. Like I do a lot of things to like cover that's how I'm feeling, but like that's really what I'm feeling like about humanity. Like I think I'm like deeply like sad. Like yeah. that's been the hardest thing for me. Like through all of this is just like realizing that I don't live in the world that I thought I lived in. Like, but I know that like goodness still exists, and I know that like beautiful people still exist, and like I know that that's like worth fighting for, and like I know that that's like worth like doing my purpose and like trying to reach the people that I can reach. It just sometimes I don't even know how to reach people anymore because I feel like I've been through so much that I don't even know like how to reach them anymore. Like I don't even know how to like rescue people because sometimes I don't even think that I can rescue myself. Like, and I never used to feel that way. Like I never like felt that way before. I felt like I was strong and like I was like a leader in my community, and like I could like be there for people, and I was strong. I was a Leo, like, and I could like help them. I could like support them and like boost them, and um but now like I don't know, and like that's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm here to do, is to like help people. And like, but when all this happened to me, I felt like um I myself was being made weak. Like I myself was being like was weakened, and so I could no longer like be there for people. I could no longer like be like that the leader that God's called me to be. And I couldn't, and there's like always been like truth like on my heart, like messages of truth, and being silenced was really painful because I couldn't share those messages like anymore. Like, and then I was like, when I felt like I was losing my mind, I'm like, oh great, like oh my god, like now I really can't share, like now I really can't like share what I want to like share with the people. And like that's my heart, like that's why I'm like here, like. So that's what's been really hard for me. I feel like I came to this earth like to like be like I don't know, to be like a light, to be a protector. Like it's just like when I felt like that was being taken from me, like, because like my level of love for humanity is like really like great. Like I have a lot of love for humanity, and like when I was like so weakened by everything, like it was just, I don't know, it was the worst feeling ever. Like the worst feeling in the world. Like a mama who couldn't protect like her cubs or her children. Like so like yeah, that's what's been in my heart like this whole time. And I haven't been wanting to come on here and like talk to you guys because I've been ashamed of like the narcissistic abuse, so like carrying shame from that, and then ashamed of like the mental illness that came from the narcissistic abuse, and then like not wanting you guys to see that because a lion doesn't want you to see their weakness, because they're supposed to be the leaders of the pack. Like they're supposed to be strong. Like if you see like the lion's weakness, then you're not going to trust them like to lead you. You're not going to trust like their strength, like I think that's what it is. I think that's what like happened. Like I think like I was worried about people seeing me like in my weakness, and that they would no longer like have like trust in me, like to be like just to be like who I'm here to be. Um, so yeah, like that's wow. And I felt like I had a huge message in my heart, like this whole time I have a huge purpose. And then like that was being distorted. It was being like, because I was experiencing mental like issues, like just like you guys like thought, but maybe not for the reasons that you thought, you know, like it had nothing to do with like addiction, at least not for the past 6 years. And again, that was only connected to like psychedelics, mushrooms, really, like it was nothing else. And I'm sick of people making other assumptions, um but yeah, that's what I've been like the most sad about, is just like I just really want to like reach people like while I'm here, and like I don't want like my life to go to waste. And I want like my purpose to like come out, and like my purpose is just to like share with you guys, like just like this, just like share from my heart messages of like love. And I hope it still has like an impact, because like yeah, I hope it still has an impact. And I'll be back on to share more. Thank you for hearing my testimony, and this was actually like really good for me because it helped me like get more like grounded in myself and in my truth, and it's really good. So I hope I can keep coming on and like being this like vulnerable with you, and I'm not going to worry about the narcissists and how they take it, because the rest of like humanity deserves to hear from me, like those who like actually like want to like, you know, like those who like have the heart, like that actually need to hear like these messages. Like those are the people that I want to talk to. Those are the people that I want to like help and like lift up. And I'm not going to let like a bunch of like people who want to just make assumptions stop me from my purpose. And that's the bottom line. Love you guys, and talk to you soon.